Jayvardy.
Jayvardy.
This Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Thank you, Jayvardy.
Jayvardy.
Jayvardy. Oh, Jayvardy. Oh my gosh.
Hello everybody, I'm Jayvardy and welcome to this. This is my WrestleMania 42 Night 1 review. I just finished watching WrestleMania 41 Saturday and I'm going to give my thoughts on this show. And right off the bat, I thought this was a terrible night of WrestleMania. If this was the entire show, and I am aware that we still have half a show to go because there's still tomorrow night, but if this was the entirety of the show, this would probably be a bottom 3 WrestleMania. This was really, really bad. The whole show felt off. It didn't feel like WrestleMania at all. It didn't feel like it was a big, important event. It felt like a very standard night of wrestling. Um, Everything about the show felt off, and everything about the show felt cheap. That's what I was feeling mostly as I was watching this show, is that the show felt so cheap. It felt so cheap, and it felt so rushed in the sense that there was no care to it. There was no real love to the show. You know what I mean? Like, no one took the time to make this night of WrestleMania feel and present as special. The whole thing, from the entrances to the commentary to the matches themselves to the camera shots to the fact that ads were literally baked into the show as the show was happening. There's ads everywhere, on the ring, outside the ring, on tables. There's ads in between every single match. There's like a full blown commercial breaks that are 4, 5, 6 minute long. Everything about the show just felt cheap, and it felt like there was no love to it, and all those things, like I said, from the entrances to the matches themselves, to the wrestlers themselves, to the camera angles, to the commentary, everything felt so below WrestleMania standards, and everything just felt so cheap. It did not feel like this is the biggest wrestling show of the year. This did not feel like it's the most important wrestling show of the year. And this certainly did not feel like this is the best wrestling show of the year. This is WrestleMania. There will be some people out there, whether it's in comment sections or people writing articles or so on and so on, that will say that this night is not as bad as some people are going to make it out to be. But they're wrong. This is WrestleMania. Was this the worst wrestling show I've ever seen in my life? No, not even close. But this is WrestleMania. This is supposed to be the absolute best you can do. Everything that I mentioned, the entire presentation of the show, this needs to feel like the absolute best that the company can do. And let's just be honest, if this is the best that this company can do, then major changes need to be made, because this just was not up to par. And if this is the best that this company can do, well, we're in a lot of trouble as wrestling fans. The show reeks of corporatism. Everything about the show feels so disgustingly corporate, and just the flow and production of the show, it's not, this is not how WrestleMania has always been. I feel the people I feel the worst for are younger fans, because they have no idea that wrestling is not, it's not supposed to be slow like this. It's not supposed to have ads everywhere. There's supposed to be energy and hype to the show, and there was no energy in this show. Everything just felt so dull and so lifeless. It was a lifeless show tonight. There was no oomph, there was no energy, there was nothing in the show itself to be hype about. The show itself did not want you to feel hype. And I can sit here and I can break down the 7 matches tonight. By the way, 7 matches? 7 matches? This is WrestleMania. Listen. when I was, in my biggest time as a wrestling fan, where I was constantly watching every single pay-per-view, every single Raw, every single SmackDown, and I didn't miss a show. When I was in that part of my fandom, I'm way beyond that nowadays, believe me. Nowadays, I watch wrestling like 2, 3, 4 times a year, but I do keep up with it. But when I was back in that phase of I didn't miss a single show, that started between WrestleMania 18 to like WrestleMania 30 to WrestleMania 31-ish. It was about that 13-year span. And the rest of those WrestleManias had between 9 and 12 matches every single year, and they were one night shows. Every single one of those WrestleManias were one night shows, and every single one of them had between 9 to 12 matches. 9 to 12 on a one night show, and tonight we got 7, and tomorrow they have 6 scheduled. We don't know if there will be like a bonus match thrown in or an unscheduled match that, happens throughout the night. We'll see. They might get to 7. But even if they do an unscheduled match, 14 matches, 13 scheduled, we'll see what happens. 13 matches over 2 nights? What are we doing here, folks? Like, what are we doing? This is WrestleMania. There used to be 10, 11, 12 matches. WrestleMania 20, which was the first WrestleMania I ever watched live as it was happening. I wasn't in the arena, but it was the first WrestleMania I watched live as it was happening. That had 12 matches, guys. WrestleMania 20 had 12 matches. It was one night. One night. This show has one more scheduled match on 2 nights. How is that possible? Like, that's the corporate disgusting nature of this product right now, that they are only willing to schedule 13 matches over 2 nights. And how many millions of dollars is ESPN paying them to broadcast these shows? How many millions and billions of dollars is Netflix paying them to broadcast these shows internationally? How much money, how much thousands of dollars are the tickets that 50,000 people bought tickets to this show, and yet they can only schedule 13 matches for 2 nights? What is the excuse for this? And the show is fucking layered, and I excuse my language, that just slipped out. My plan was to not swear during this video, but the show is layered with ads, which is even more revenue, and yet they can only schedule 13 matches? This is disgusting, folks. This is disgusting. And like I said, I can sit down and break down the 7 matches that we watched tonight, but what's there to say? What's there to say about the 7 matches tonight? None of them were spectacular. There were a couple matches that I think were okay, but none of them were spectacular. And let's say this too. Matches come in 3 different waves of story. There's before the match, which is all the build up heading into WrestleMania, which we know sucked this year, and it sucked last year too, by the way. There's the match itself, where they tell the literal story in the ring, and then there's the aftermath, which comes, in the weeks to come on Raw and SmackDown and the next pay-per-view, Backlash, or whatever it is this year. I haven't even looked. I assume it's Backlash. I don't know. But there's the build up, which is all the episodes of TV leading into WrestleMania. There's the match itself at WrestleMania, and then there's the aftermath on all the shows after WrestleMania. The build up sucked. We know that. The aftermath is going to suck because the creative team that they have right now is terrible. And then the matches tonight, none of them were spectacular. So all these matches at the end of the day are terrible. They had terrible build-up. They're going to have terrible aftermath. We already know that. And the matches themselves were not spectacular. And none of the 7 matches tonight felt like WrestleMania matches except one, and that's Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes. That's literally the only match tonight that going into WrestleMania, I was interested to see what happened. It's the only match I was interested in watching tonight. Was anyone else genuinely excited about any of the other 6 matches tonight? Like, who cares about any of them? They're not WrestleMania quality matches. In terms of the names involved, the star power involved, the stakes of the matches, the storylines heading into them, what we think might happen in the aftermath. None of them are WrestleMania worthy matches. That's the worst thing about it. They scheduled 13 matches this year, and how many of them feel like genuine WrestleMania matches? Like, I think 4. And only one of them was tonight. The other 6 matches tonight, those were all like, the 6 matches before Orton and Rhodes, those are all like backlash matches. Or like, you know, I don't know all the names of the shows these days because they changed all the names of the show since when I watched, but like these are like Judgment Day matches or Vengeance matches or Unforgiven matches and whatever pay-per-view names they're using nowadays, not WrestleMania. Like those 6 matches before Orton and Rhodes, I wouldn't even call them SummerSlam matches. Like they're not even at that level. They're just like standard PLE pay-per-view matches. And yet they were thrown on a WrestleMania card. And for those wondering, I said I feel like 4 of this year's matches feel like WrestleMania matches. Well, what are the other 3? CM Punk and Roman Reigns is a WrestleMania match. I'll give them that. Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley, that's probably a WrestleMania worthy match too. I'll give them that. And Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, that feels like a WrestleMania worthy match. But, that's 4 out of 13. That's not even 1/3 of the matches feel like WrestleMania matches. You have 2 nights and you only scheduled 13 matches and all you can muster was 4 matches that feel WrestleMania worthy. That's pathetic. That's pathetic. And the matches weren't spectacular tonight. So like what's there for me to break down? I'm not going to go in and talk about, all the holds of the match or do a replay of the match for you. But what I did is I wrote down a ton of notes. I'll count them right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pages of point form notes that I took from the beginning of the show to the end of the show, and I'm just going to read them out. And we're going to talk about them because I've given you my general feelings of this show. I've given off the bat here. Now I'm going to read my notes and kind of go through them. They're all in order of the show as it was happening, and I'll throw in some points as we go here. But before I do that, the creative team and the company itself, they are a terrible match for one another, first of all, but they're also both so terrible for the product. Triple H is one of the worst creative heads in pro wrestling history. It's not even just WWE guys, but like he's worse than Dixie Carter was in TNA, and Dixie Carter had her ups and downs, more downs than ups, but like he's worse than she was. He's worse than Tony Khan in AEW, and Tony Khan is like Dixie Carter, has his ups and downs, probably more downs than ups, but he's worse than even those two are. He's worse than Vince Russo was in WCW. He's way worse than Eric Bischoff was in WCW. Eric Bischoff was great in WCW. He's worse than Paul Heyman was, both when Paul Heyman ran ECW, but also when Paul Heyman ran SmackDown back when I was a fan. And he's not even close to being as good as Vince McMahon was when Vince McMahon was at his best. Vince McMahon at his worst is what Triple H is always. Because that's when Triple H learned from Vince McMahon. He studied under him when Vince was at his worst. And what Triple H is consistently is what Vince was at his worst. And Vince at his worst was really bad, but Triple H is just terrible. Triple H is worse than Vince was because Triple H can't even get production stuff good. He has terrible camera angles. He has terrible entrances. And just like little things of like holding on a shot long enough he's probably not the one directing the camera shots backstage, but he's the one hiring the director of the cameras, and the director in TV is a little bit different from directors of like live television directing is different from scripted television directing. What a director does in TV, not to get too much into this, is they're the ones calling all the different camera angles. They'll be like, camera A, camera B, camera C. That's what a director is. Triple H is the producer. In television, the producer is like the head of creative, and the director is just the one calling the shots. Triple H isn't the one literally calling the camera shots, being like, camera A now, camera B now, camera E now. That's what the director's doing. But he doesn't even have a good director, because whoever's directing the show sucks, because they cut at really weird times and they don't hold on specific shots long enough, and they cut to very formulaic shots. The director is awful, and Triple H is the one that hires them, and he sucks because he's the one telling the director how he wants the show to look, and the show looks like crap. But just Triple H in general, his booking sucks. His build-up sucks. We know his aftermath is going to suck, and nothing happened tonight. But then the corporate side of the equation is that the show is layered with ads. The show is cheap as hell. The set looked horrible tonight. There was only 7 matches. The show was only 4 hours. Get this, they started at 6 p.m. Eastern, and the show ended before 10 o'clock. This is WrestleMania. First of all, if you're going to be less than 4 hours, why the heck are we starting at 6 p.m.? Start at like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. if you're only going to be 4 hours. Why are we ending WrestleMania before 10 o'clock Eastern? That's effing ridiculous. Like, if you're going to be only 4 hours, which you should be 5 or 6, this is WrestleMania. I keep reminding everyone, this isn't a regular pay-per-view. This is WrestleMania. If you're only going to be 4 hours, start at 8 o'clock and end at midnight, or at least start at 7 and end at 11. Don't start at 6 and end at 10. That's a joke. If you're going to start at 6 o'clock, it better be because your show is 5.5 hours long. That's what I was expecting. I was expecting the show to go to like 11 or 11:30, and it ended at freaking 10. Not even 10. It ended at like 9:56 p.m. How do I know this? Because I didn't start the show live. I started it about an hour and a half into it. I hit play from beginning on Netflix because I'm in Canada. So I'm able to watch it on Netflix. I'm not in the United States. So I'm able on Netflix to click play from the beginning. I'm sure you can probably do that on the ESPN app. I'm not sure, but on Netflix you can. So I just started the show an hour late, but it told me at the bottom of the screen, live broadcast ended, and I still had an hour something left to go in the show. But I got that message at 9:56. That's a joke. But everything from the creative side to the corporate side, it's a bad match, bad presentation, everything about it. We're in trouble as wrestling fans. That's all I've got to say. I'm going to read my notes now. So we started off WrestleMania with a cold opening. Triple H loves his cold openings. And what do I mean by a cold opening? The very first shot of the show was an outside shot of the arena and Michael Cole talking very casually, not screaming at the top of his lungs, very casually introducing the arena and where we're at. And then they go into a bad monologue and intro package featuring some guy, I don't know, he's probably some comedian. I'm not going to even bother looking up who gave that intro package, but whoever it was that gave that intro package, that was a terrible monologue. It was terribly written, and it was very terribly performed. I don't know who that guy was, but don't ever have him do another intro package for wrestling ever again, because he had no energy, and that was terribly delivered. An absolute garbage monologue. But you go from a cold opening of the arena to a bad monologue and intro package. Both of those things had welcome to WrestleMania. The guy doing the bad monologue welcomed us to WrestleMania, and Michael Cole in the cold opening said welcome to WrestleMania. Then John Cena comes out to an entrance. Why is John Cena getting an entrance? Why not just have him start in the ring? What's the point of having him do an entrance if he's not even going to be wearing his getup? He came out in a suit. said he's not going to run, and then he got halfway down the ramp and is like, this is taking too long, so I'm going to run all of a sudden. And he looked ridiculous in his suit, by the way. Look, John Cena, I know you're retired and I know you don't want to wear your getup anymore, but you know what? If you're not going to wear your getup, just stay home. Just stay home, man. You look stupid in a suit. You looked absolutely ridiculous coming down to My Time Is Now in a suit. And then what did you do? You got into the ring and cut a really, really bad intro promo and said, welcome to WrestleMania. So we got 3 different welcome to WrestleManias to start the show. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, they're horrible. And I've written that in my notes several times, by the way, but Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, they're garbage. That was some of the worst commentary I've ever heard in wrestling. And Michael Cole, you've had a long career. It's time to hang the mic up, my friend. You're done. You're done. You don't have it anymore. Your passion is gone. You have no passion in your commentary, and your lack of energy is killing these shows. It's time for you just to stay home. And I don't say that lightly because Michael Cole has been in this business for a heck of a long time. He's put a heck of a lot of years into this, but you know what? When you don't have it anymore and your lack of energy is literally affecting the shows in a negative manner, it's time to stay home. Michael Cole, you've had a great career, but it's over, man. It's over. You're done. We need a younger commentator in there who's going to inject some life into the commentary and inject some life into these shows. So the entrances to the first match sucked. And the first match was the 6-man tag, which is not a WrestleMania match, by the way. A 6-man tag at a WrestleMania. What are they doing with Logan Paul? Why is he still in like this weird mid-card spot? Like, what's the point of having Logan Paul in WWE if you're just going to use him in mid-card matches like this? Like, there's no point. Logan Paul I don't know if he is anymore, but he was a pretty major star in the world of pop culture, and WWE has essentially done nothing with him. He's been in they said this was his 5th WrestleMania match. 5th. What has he done in WWE other than have some good matches here and there? They've done nothing with the guy. What are we doing? What's the point of having a star like him if you're going to do nothing with him? So Wade Barrett, during the first match, said no match has been won off a body slam. And immediately, me as a wrestling fan was like, WrestleMania 3? The most famous wrestling match of all time? Hulk Hogan body slams Andre the Giant, then leg drops 1, 2, 3. That's off of a body slam. He won with the leg drop off of a body slam. So what do you mean no match has been won off of a body slam, you twat? What are you talking about? The most famous wrestling match of all time was won off a body slam. And Michael Cole, like 4 or 5 minutes later, calls him out on it. Why did it take Michael Cole that long to call him out on it? Probably because somebody backstage, Triple H or one of the other, producers, probably got on the headset to Michael Cole and Wade Barrett and be like, what the fuck are you guys talking about saying no match has been won off a body slam? Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, are you guys retarded? And then Michael Cole says it to Wade Barrett like, did you say nobody's won off a body slam? But this is like several minutes later. So Michael Cole only corrected him probably because somebody was screaming in their ears to correct that before they get ripped to shreds for it. But the fact that Michael Cole needed to be told to call him out on it instead of just immediately calling him out on it, like, I as a wrestling fan was sitting there immediately like, what are you talking about? Why did it take Michael Cole that long to correct him? So I wrote that in the notes. Clearly someone in the headset called out their stupidity. Then I wrote, why is this a match? Why is Logan in this match? And the Usos are tired of their own shtick. You can see it in Jay and Jimmy's face. Like, they're tired of the Uso entrance. They're tired of being in these, like, tag matches. They're tired of their own shtick. And again, like, Logan Paul, what are we doing with this guy? Like, he might as well not be in the company because they're literally just wasting him in these terrible mid-card matches. Why does Wade Barrett keep saying how good Logan Paul is? Why can't Logan Paul have a match without Wade Barrett or someone on the commentary team being like, fans don't like it, but Logan Paul is actually really good in the wrestling ring. Like, why does Wade Barrett have to constantly tell us how good Logan Paul is? We've all seen his matches, you dumbass. Just let the guy wrestle. You're actually hurting him by doing commentary like that because you're constantly reminding people that he's not a true WWE star, that he is an outsider. And yes, Logan Paul still is an outsider. It doesn't matter that this was his 5th WrestleMania match. He still is an outsider, but the fact that they constantly are bringing attention to that, it actually hurts him rather than helps him. And it was a terrible finish to a poor opening match. That was one of the worst opening matches to a WrestleMania I think I've ever seen. And then they set up Logan Paul versus IShowSpeed by having Logan punch out IShowSpeed, and then the baby face is coming in to help him, and then IShowSpeed splashed him through the table. So they're probably setting up a backlash match of Logan Paul versus IShowSpeed or a SummerSlam match, but like, who cares? Logan versus Speed, who gives a F? I wrote in my notes. Then I wrote, why are there ads? Because as soon as the match was over, they cut to a commercial break. A commercial break on a pay-per-view. Why are there commercial breaks on a pay-per-view? I literally paid for no ads in my Netflix account, and they're cutting to a commercial break. Why? Because the WWE themselves have commercial breaks in their pay-per-views now. Why are there ads? This is a pay-per-view. It's supposed to be an ad-free show. This isn't a television episode. This isn't the USA Network. This isn't cable TV. This is a pay-per-view. Why are there ads? Then I said, stop showing B and C rate celebs in the crowd. No one gives a F. Which they kept doing. They kept showing B and C list celebrities in the crowd. Then I wrote, where's the hype package for Fatu versus Drew? Because Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu started their match with no promo package and no video package played before the match to go through their rivalry and hype us up heading into the match itself. Those used to be a thing at WrestleMania. Those used to be a thing on wrestling pay-per-views where they would show highlight packages and video packages hyping up the match that's about to take place. Instead of those, we got commercial breaks. Instead of a 3-minute video package hyping up the next match, we got 5 to 6 minute long commercial breaks. I wrote, the entrances suck. And then I wrote ads on the tables, the Slim Jim ad on the table. Then I wrote, in the US, the show is on 2 things, ESPN2, then the app, WTF. Then I wrote, the crowd is garbage, which they were. The crowd was lifeless nearly all night. Then I wrote slow match because it was. Then I wrote, weak finish to a weak match, and why did Jacob Fatu win? So, and that's going to be a thing in a lot of these notes is weak finish to a weak match, and why did this person win? Because that's how I felt with every match, that it had weak finishes, and I don't understand why the person who won. Doesn't make sense to me. Michael Cole has no energy. He needs to retire. I talked about that already, but I wrote it in the notes here. Then I wrote, more ads. Why are there ads? Then I wrote, advertising the card lineup, and Michael Cole makes mistakes. So how it happened is the show ended on ESPN2 in the US, and then they cut to like it's starting again on the app in the US. For me, it's all just on one platform. This like WrestleMania being shown on 2 different platforms in the United States is pretty pathetic. What a joke. They can't even have WrestleMania, of all things, play on one single network for the entirety of a show. I've never seen that before. That's pathetic. So what do they do when they start on the second thing? They start advertising the rest of the card lineup for the night by showing the card graphics. And I'm thinking, like, these matches suck. Like, these aren't WrestleMania worthy matches. And Michael Cole, he botched it by introducing the wrong match at the wrong time. So he wasn't even prepared for it. But advertising the card lineup on the actual show itself I don't know if I've ever seen that before. I've seen them do like a graphic of the next match coming up, but I don't think I've ever seen them go like, these are all the matches coming later tonight. Like, that was just ridiculous. Then I wrote 7 matches in one night is a joke, which it is. Then I said stop calling night 1 a main event, alluding to Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. They kept calling it the main event of WrestleMania. It's not the main event of WrestleMania. The main event is night 2. Stop calling it a main event. I'm done with the whole pretending night 1s are main events. They're not. Then I wrote, there's no hype video again. This is heading into the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team match. Not that I don't think a match like that needs a hype video necessarily, but it's the 3rd match in a row to not receive one. This is not a WrestleMania match, I wrote, which it's not. Champions came out 3rd. This is a 4-team match. You either have the champions come out first or you have them come out last. You don't have them come out 3rd. I understand they wanted to have the Bella Twins come out 4th because they had the announcement of Paige returning. But if you're going to do that last, then you need to have the champions come out first. So you can still do the Bella Twin Paige as the last entrance, but then you need to have the champions come out first. You don't have the champions come out in the middle of the entrances. That's not how these things work. Champions either need to come out first in a multi-team match or they need to come out last. And since you were doing the Bella Twins Paige thing last, the champions need to come out first. But they came out 3rd, which is just really, really poor booking by a really, really poor booker. All the entrances suck, which they did. The crowd sucks, which they did. This show sucks. There's no energy anywhere. This is what I'm writing in the midst of this match. Sloppy match, too many women. Bayley and Lyra don't need to be here. Because how they booked this match is they're going to go, there's 4 teams, so 1 person from each team is legal at a time. And how it looked is there's 4 women in the ring at a time and 4 women standing around on the apron at a time, which made it really awkward to shoot. But it also, it overpopulated the match. In a multi-team match like this, they either need to be all legal, so it's tornado style, or it's a ladder match or something, or only 2 teams at a time. So it's like Team A versus Team B, and then the winner of that continues, and then Team C comes in, etc., etc. You can't. The way they booked it was sloppy, and there was too many women, and also, like I said, why are Bayley and Lyra in this match? They don't need to be there. Does anybody really care about Bayley and Lyra at this point? Come on. You get rid of them and the match becomes way easier to follow and it becomes way less sloppy. Paige/Charlotte was the only good moment. So there was a moment where the ring cleared and it ended up being Paige and Charlotte having a face-off, and that was literally the only good moment of the match. The crowd popped for it, and 2 pretty big legends in women's wrestling in Paige and Charlotte having a face-off. That was pretty cool to see. What the fuck was Alexa doing? Terrible finish to a terrible match. So the finish was Nikki Bella started beating up Charlotte outside the ring, but Alexa was about to hit the finishing blow on Paige, but Alexa just stood at the top of the rope and watched Nikki Bella beat up Charlotte with the crutch. She just stood there and watched. Either make your move and win the match, either do your move to take out Paige and win the match, or jump off the apron and help out your tag team partner. Why are you literally just standing there watching this happen? It made no sense, and it was so long and so awkward. It was a terrible finish to a terrible match. That was not a WrestleMania-worthy match. That was barely a Backlash-worthy match. Then, more ads. Why are there ads? They come back. Stop showing B-list celebrities. And then, no hype package for AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch either! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. These are 2 legends, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee, of women's wrestling and WWE in general. And this is their WrestleMania match to probably end their feud, because this is their 3rd or 4th match going back to WrestlePalooza, including the tag team match. Why was there no hype video for this? This is AJ Lee's first WrestleMania in what, 10 years? And this is her versus Becky Lynch to end their rivalry. Why did this match not get a hype video, a promo package video to hype the match up? This is a match featuring two big names to end their rivalry, and it's AJ Lee's first WrestleMania match in how many years, and you didn't give them a promo video to hype the match up? What are we doing here, guys? Like, what is this? What is this show? This match needed a hype video to hype it up, to get the crowd amped up and the people watching at home amped up to see this match. Becky's entrance sucked, which it did. AJ's entrance sucked even more, which it did. Crowd has no energy. AJ Lee needs a new entrance theme. Why is she still coming out to that ridiculous pop song? AJ Lee is a punk. She's literally married to a punk. She's one of the biggest punks in the world. Why is she coming out to a pop song all these years later? I understand her coming back to that song originally when she made her comeback because that was the song that fans associated with her. But if there was ever a time to debut a new song for her, it was tonight at WrestleMania. She needs a new entrance theme. What are we doing here? She's too old to be coming out to a match to a song like that, and she's way too cool and punky to be coming out to a song like that. Give her a new entrance theme. She should have had a new one debut tonight. Her entrance sucked. Why is the ref part of the story of the match? Question mark. Good question. Why was the ref part of the story of the match? Why is this the IC title match and not the world title match? Question mark. Very good question. Why are two legends in AJ Lee and Becky Lynch who've had a 6-month rivalry wrestling for the Intercontinental title while Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer are in the world title match? What are we doing here? That's reversed. This is terrible booking by a terrible booker. You put the two legends in the world title match, and you put Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer, who's still in her first year with the WWE. That's your Intercontinental title match. They needed to be reversed. What are we doing here? Why was this the Intercontinental title match? Two legends instead of Liv Morgan and a first-year wrestler? Question mark. Then I wrote so much stupidity, because at this point of the show, I'm like, there's just so much garbage and so much stupidity. Weak finish to a weak match. How many times can I say this? Good question. How many times can I say this? This was the fourth match of the night, and it was a weak finish to a weak match. Becky won. Why did Becky win? How many WrestleMania wins does Becky need? Question mark, question mark. Good question. Why did Becky Lynch win this match, and how many wins does Becky Lynch need at WrestleMania? This was AJ Lee's first WrestleMania match in 10 years, and she couldn't get the win. And it was an Intercontinental title match, and it was against a woman she's wrestled like 5 times this year. Like, what are we doing here, guys? What is this? Then I put enough of the new champion camera shot. So formulaic. So every time Triple H has a new champion on any show, it doesn't matter if it's WrestleMania or Raw or any show in between, he has the camera go to the middle of the ring. The wrestler stands in the middle of the ring and they shoot them up towards the entrance ramp where they put up a graphic saying new champion, and pyro goes off as the champion holds up the belt. Every single new title win, they do this exact shot, and it's formulaic. Why would every wrestler in the world of kayfabe be like, I'm going to stand here so pyro can go off with a graphic like everybody else? It's so formulaic, it's so like manufactured, and it's so cheap looking. It's cheap. Like, why not just let them celebrate on their own? Why not let them celebrate as characters? Why do we need to cut to this generic, formulaic, manufactured new champion shot? Stop with the cutting to the new champion camera shot. It's garbage. Then I wrote, stop showing B-list celebs, because that's what they keep doing. They keep going to the crowd and showing all these B-list celebrities. Like, dude, I don't care if freaking Leonardo DiCaprio is sitting in the audience. I don't care. I don't care if Marlon Brando or Elvis Presley come back from the dead and are sitting in the audience. I don't care. Those are mega celebrities, and I don't care. Stop showing these B-list and C-list celebrities that no one knows and no one cares about. How does that make your show look good? You don't have Leonardo DiCaprio sitting out there, and even if you did, who gives a F? What is the point of showing B-list celebs? I wrote under that note. That's a great question. What is the point of them? Then, no hype package for Gunther versus Seth. This guy just retired John Cena and AJ Styles. An excellent point in my notes. They showed no hype package for Gunther versus Seth Rollins, two of the biggest wrestlers on their roster today having a match at WrestleMania, and there's no hype package. One, this is really bad production of the show itself. It hurts the show itself because, again, you're not hyping the crowd for the match or hyping the people at home for the match, but it also shows just how bad of a booker Triple H is in the build-up because, like, I keep writing there's no hype packages to these matches, but, like, what would the hype package show? Like if they're gonna do a hate package for Gunther versus Seth, which there should have been one for AJ and Becky as well. But like, what would they have shown for Gunther and Seth? What would they honestly have shown? They didn't have anything to show. That's why there is no hype package, and that's pathetic. That's on the creative team. They didn't build a strong enough rivalry with a strong enough story, and they had nothing to show before the match. So they just threw them out there. But this is the guy that just retired John Cena and AJ Styles, and he's in a match that's not even good enough to get a hype video before it because the creative team involved couldn't build a strong enough rivalry heading into WrestleMania for there to be a hype package video for him. That's pathetic. I wrote the crowd is dead. It was. I wrote Gunther's music sucks. It does. I wrote they cut to a wide shot during the mask takeoff of Seth. So during his entrance, he comes out with a mask and he's going to do like kind of a dramatic, take off of his mask to reveal that it's him behind it. The whole masked man gimmick thing. But it was part of his entrance where he was going to remove the mask in dramatic fashion, and it was supposed to be a close-up. So they were holding this like medium close-up shot on Seth, and he was about to remove the mask, and they cut to a wide shot. And we don't even see him remove the mask, and we cut back to him, and the mask is off. So they broke continuity. You cut away from him when the mask is on. You come back to him with the mask off. That's called breaking continuity, first of all. And second of all, you ruined his entrance because that was part of it. He was supposed to take the mask off in dramatic fashion. So not only did you mess up his entrance, which probably is going to tick him off, but you broke camera continuity by cutting away with him in a mask to cutting back to him without a mask. The director sucks, and Triple H does not know what the hell he's doing, and he's ruining these shows. Camera shots suck. He can't even call good cam shots. That's what I wrote. I wrote Triple H can't even call good cam shots. Then I wrote I am over Seth Rollins, which I am. 14/15 WrestleManias is too many. Seth Rollins started wrestling with the Shield at WrestleMania 28. That was their first WrestleMania match. They had a match, or was it 29? It might have been 29. I might be mixing up my WrestleManias here. It was either WrestleMania 28 or 29, I can't remember, where the Shield made their debut. And it might have been 29 they made their debut, and then 30 they wrestled again, and then 31. Yeah, that I think that's right actually. It doesn't matter. The point is, from WrestleMania 29 to WrestleMania 42, like 14 WrestleManias, 13, 14, 15 WrestleManias. That's too many for a guy of Seth Rollins' caliber. Look, he's not on the level of someone like John Cena. He's not on the level of someone like The Undertaker. He didn't leave the company for like 10 years the way CM Punk and AJ Lee did. He's not on the level of someone like The Rock, and he hadn't left the company for as long as The Rock left the company. The fact that he's been in the company since WrestleMania 29 or whatever it is, that he's been in the company for and wrestling at WrestleMania till now, like 14 WrestleManias, That is way too many WrestleManias for a guy of his caliber to be involved in. And I'm over it. I'm over Seth Rollins, man. Like this, he's an upper mid card guy and he's had a really good career. And I'm not trying to disrespect him, but he's not at the level of like an Undertaker or a Rock or a Punk or a Cena, um, or any of those guys that have had, or Roman Reigns that have had these really, really long WrestleMania runs. But some of those guys also left the company for so many years in between the runs, right? Seth has been here for like a 14-year run, and he's involved in WrestleMania every year that he's healthy. That's too long for a guy of his standard. I'm just over Seth Rollins. He's an upper mid card guy. We've seen everything there is to see with him at WrestleMania, and I'm just over it. I'm over Seth Rollins. 14 WrestleManias is too many for someone of his caliber, and it is. It is. They need to get new talent on there. They need to elevate up and coming talent, and they need to phase out some of these guys from the show. Seth Rollins, like I said, he's just not at the level where it's acceptable for him to still be involved at WrestleMania. Like it's been too long. If he leaves for 4 or 5 years and then comes back for like, one last stretch of run, that's one thing, but it's been too long and I'm over Seth Rollins. Gunther attacks before the bell. We've seen that tonight already with Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre because Gunther attacked Seth Rollins before the bell rang. Every match has been slow, because this match was slow as well. Every move has no impact. Everyone is phoning it in. So the first half of the match was slow. The moves had no impact, and it just felt like Seth and Gunther were phoning it in. And every match before this, it felt like they were phoning it in. Then I wrote, the match starts picking up. It's the first decent match of the night. And it did. The second half of the match got a bit better. But then Braun Breaker comes out. Who cares is what I wrote. Braun Breaker, who cares? ? Gunther takes a pedigree and stomp on the table, then wins 2 minutes later. WTF. So what's the selling with Gunther there? He takes a pedigree on the announce table, and then he takes a stomp on the announce table, the second announce table spot of the night, by the way, in 2 different matches. And 2 minutes later, he's winning the match all because Braun Breaker speared Seth Rollins. Like, WTF, what is the sell with Gunther and Braun Breaker? Who cares? Then I wrote, John Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg were not incorporated into the match at all. Why? That's what I would love to know, because how I would have done this is Gunther really gains nothing by beating Seth Rollins. Like, who really cares? What I would have done is, why not have John Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg come out instead of Braun Breaker? Because Braun Breaker, who cares? But why not have John Cena, who's already there in the building, and AJ Styles, who's already there in the building, because Cena's hosting and AJ Styles comes out later for the Hall of Fame. Why not just have the 2 of them come out and Goldberg come out and tie it into Gunther retiring all these guys in the last year, and have the 3 of them get involved and screw over Gunther, and Seth wins, and then Seth celebrates with the legends, because everyone's kind of annoyed that Gunther got over Cena and Styles and Goldberg in their last matches. So why not have those guys come out, screw Gunther over in the match, and celebrate with Seth? It would be a feel-good moment for the show, and it would be, a moment that would have made the fans pop like crazy. Like, imagine Goldberg coming out and spearing Gunther, and then AJ Styles coming out, and then John Cena coming out, and all of them hit their moves, and then Seth hits the stomp, covers 1, 2, 3. You can even have one of Cena, Gunther, or one of Cena, Styles, or Goldberg do the count of 1, 2, 3 themselves, and then they can all celebrate with Seth and raise his arm and like embarrass the heel that retired all of them. That would have been a much better feel-good moment for WrestleMania than just having Gunther win. Like, I understand Gunther retired these guys, having him win in that sense makes sense, but like, it would have been better, in my opinion, to have Cena and Styles, who are already in the building. Why not just have them incorporated into the match and have them, have a feel-good moment with Seth and give a babyface win here, and have John Cena, AJ Styles, and Goldberg kind of get their revenge. Like, that would have been much better, in my opinion. Then Braun Breaker does a second spear, and I wrote, again, who cares? And he botched it anyways. Then I wrote, the Hall of Fame is a joke. Who are all these people? Stop doing Hall of Fame entrances for Hall of Fame entries. Like AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon got a little mini entrance on the stage. And I wrote, what I wrote is, only AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon should have gotten in. And the overall point is, why are we doing a Hall of Fame every year where we have to like squeeze people in? At this point in the Hall of Fame, we're literally squeezing people in that the majority of wrestling fans have no idea who these people are. Freaking Dennis Rodman just got into the Hall of Fame. That's pathetic, man. That's just absolutely pathetic. Only AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon are true Hall of Famers. So it's like, if there's only two worthy entrants to the Hall of Fame, like, only induct two people. We don't need to make a whole show out of the Hall of Fame all the time. Just induct AJ Styles and Stephanie McMahon and then just honor those two. Like, why are we including others who don't need to be there, that are just being squeezed in? Like, the Hall of Fame at this point is a joke. Either only induct people that need to be there or just stop with the Hall of Fame in general. This isn't a real sport anyways, so who cares? And normally I wouldn't be this agitated over the Hall of Fame, but the rest of the show sucked, so it put me in a really, really bad mood, right? Then I wrote, so many ads. Why are there ads? Then I wrote, Liv entrance makes no sense. It doesn't. She comes out. It's the first entrance of the night where they actually put effort into the entrance, by the way, and I'll give them credit for that. Like, they put effort into Liv Morgan's entrance, but her entrance makes no sense. She's expelling energy by doing a crazy dance routine on her way to the ring. She's about to fight for a world title. Why is she expelling a ton of energy? They want to present themselves as a sport, but then they do stupid nonsense like this. She's about to go fight for a world title, and yet she's expelling all kinds of energy with a crazy dance routine on the stage. Like, why would she do that? Do you not want to win your match? Why are you expelling energy? The entrance made no sense. It was the first entrance they put effort into, and it made no sense. Again, no hype package before this match. A world title match without a hype package. That's where we're at in pro wrestling now, at least in WWE. Then I wrote, why are the dancers following Liv down the ramp? Because her dancers literally followed her down the entire ramp and to the ring. Like, what are we doing here? And I wrote, her song sucks, by the way, which it does. Your song sucks, Liv Morgan. Like, let's be real. Stephanie Vaquer is not a star. Her entrance is lame. Red and black confetti falling from the roof. Like, they're putting no effort into this show, man. This is what I mean. Like, the whole show feels cheap. And I wrote that underneath here, too. Like, I didn't even look at my notes when I just mentioned that here, but it just felt like a natural place to mention that the show feels cheap. And I agree with myself because I wrote it in the notes. The whole show just felt so cheap, man. Like, red and black confetti, that's what you're doing for a WrestleMania entrance. The whole show feels cheap. There's no effort, there's no love. The whole thing is lifeless. Like, this is terrible. Then I wrote, live event ended before 10 p.m. This is WrestleMania. I already talked about that, but this is where it came in the notes. So when the show ended, this is where I was at my point of watching it, because I started it 90 minutes late. But I was like fast forwarding through ads. That's the benefit of starting it late. Then I wrote, Alicia Taylor is a bad ring announcer. She is. Let's stop pretending she's good. She's not. She's not the worst ring announcer I've ever heard, but she's not a good one. She's a bad ring announcer. She's pretty annoying. Like, can we not have Lillian Garcia do WrestleMania? I don't understand. At least Lillian Garcia is a legend in the industry. Weak finish to a weak match again. How many times do I write that in my WrestleMania notes? Apparently a lot. Then I wrote, why did Liv win? Question mark, question mark. Good question. Why did Liv Morgan win this match? Why is Liv Morgan the world champion now? Like, what was the point of Stephanie Vaquer becoming world champion the way she did? I went on a rant in my WrestlePalooza review of how Stephanie Vaquer should not have been winning a world title at that stage of her career in WWE, which I still agree with. She should have been Intercontinental Champion, not World Champion. But what was the point of making her world champion just to go into WrestleMania and lose her first ever WrestleMania match? Like, what was the point? Why not have her be Intercontinental Champion? Like, why not switch Becky and AJ being the world title feud and Liv and Stephanie being the Intercontinental title feud, and Liv Morgan wins the Intercontinental title tonight, and Becky and AJ could have been a world title match. Like that would have made a lot more sense to me. I don't understand Liv Morgan being the world champion. Like, we've already seen Liv Morgan as world champion. She's not that great. So I just, why did Liv win? Question mark, question mark. And what was the point of Stephanie McCur's world title reign just to lose her first WrestleMania match? Neither of those things make sense to me. But it is what it is. This is just Triple H booking for you. Then I wrote 3 faces win to start the show, then 3 heel wins after. Why not zigzag them? This is poor booking. That's a great question. Why not have, 2 face wins, then 2 heel wins, then like a face win, then like a heel win? Like, why not, mix them up a bit? Or like go face heel, face heel, face heel. Why go 3 faces and then 3 heels? Like, did no one think that through? We're going to have 3 baby faces win and then 3 heels win? Mix them up, guys. Like, what are we doing here? But they got the match results wrong on so many of the matches. It's not even necessarily mixing up the match order. It's just like they got the victories wrong in so many of these matches. But like, why would, again, like, zigzag them? This is just poor booking. And then I wrote, stop the new champ camera shot. It's so formulaic. Because again, when Liv Morgan won the title, they cut to the new champion camera shot. Like, all of the new champions tonight did the exact same camera shot. It's manufactured. It's cheap. I already ranted about this. But it's just terrible. Then I wrote 3 new champions. Who cares? Question mark. The title wins feel dull or unimportant. The announcers have no energy, and neither do the wrestlers. You had 3 new champions crowned tonight. Did it feel like there's 3 new champions crowned at WrestleMania tonight? Did any of these new title wins at WrestleMania feel like career-defining moments? They should. It's WrestleMania. You're winning a championship. This should feel like a career-defining moment. Did any of those 3 title wins tonight feel like career-defining moments for any of them? And all the 3 title wins tonight were all in the women's matches, by the way. You couldn't have a single woman defend their title? All of the women's matches had new champions tonight? I don't understand why Stephanie Becker couldn't beat Liv Morgan. I don't understand why AJ Lee had to lose her first WrestleMania match in 10 years. Neither of it makes sense to me. None of this stuff makes sense to me. It just doesn't. I look at it and I think that they have no idea what they're doing, this company. Then I wrote, stop calling night 1 main events. Because again, they started advertising Cody and Randy and called it a main event. It's not a main event. Stop calling it the main event. Then John Cena comes out and I wrote, why is John Cena here? Question mark. So he comes out to reveal the attendance. And it was 50,816. And I wrote, this is poor attendance. Then Bianca comes out and I write, why is Bianca here? This just feels like a waste of time. So she comes out and Cole and Barrett, they're just unbearable. The commentary that they're giving it, they're just garbage, man. Cole and Barrett had a really bad night tonight. And there were so many points throughout the show where I'm like, these guys are just terrible. And they were. I wrote, Cole and Barrett are unbearable. And then Bianca gets on the mic and she's talking and I wrote, why is Bianca here? Question mark. And I wrote, yes, I'm aware. I asked that twice. Because Bianca started her promo and it was like, her mic skills are terrible. She's saying nothing. She sounds like she's going to have a fake cry. And I'm like, what are we doing here, guys? So then she announces that she's pregnant. Okay, this is kind of a moment, I guess. It's a pregnancy reveal. Number 1, it's a pregnancy reveal at WrestleMania. Okay, that can be a moment, I guess. But also 2, it's her being like, in a subtle way, being like, don't expect me back anytime soon because I need to have this baby. Then I need to take care of this baby. So I'm not going to be around a while. So I guess it makes sense for her to come out at WrestleMania and make that announcement. But this is what I wrote is, This could have happened backstage in a segment that took 1/10 of the time, which is true. There were no backstage segments during this show. That used to be part of WrestleMania where they would go backstage and they would do like a segment backstage, and wrestlers would do like some acting and performing backstage. Why couldn't John Cena and Bianca Belair do the attendance record and the pregnancy announcement backstage? Like, why did they have to come out to the ring to do this? By coming out to the ring, it took up a bunch of time, and Bianca Belair had to do an entrance. For this time, they actually started John Cena in the ring. Thankfully, they didn't give him a second entrance of the night. But why did Bianca have to do a full entrance? And why did this and this pregnancy announcement and this attendance announcement, why did this have to be a full-on segment? Why couldn't they do this backstage in 1/10 of the time? They could have accomplished all of the things that they did in the segment in 1/10 of the time, but they chose to do it in the middle of the ring as filler, because that's what it was. It was filler. Then I wrote, John Cena sucks on the mic. Let's not kid ourselves anymore. He is no Rock in Austin. And I always have thought John Cena has been extremely mediocre on the mic through his career. But now that he's not a wrestler and now that he's not actually engaged in conflict with other wrestlers and he's asked to just go out there, take the mic, be yourself and entertain the crowd. There's no opponent for you to work off of. There's no conflict, there's no storyline. Just go out there with the mic and do your thing. John Cena sucks on the mic. Let's be honest. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Let's stop pretending. He sucks on the mic. He proved that in his opening segment of the night, and he proved that during his attendance segment with Bianca. And I wrote, he is no Rock / Austin. How many times have we seen The Rock or Stone Cold come out in their retirements and, not be involved in a storyline, but still kill it on the mic and still be top tier elite on the mic? John Cena did not do that tonight. He pretty much exposed that he sucks on the mic. If you don't have an opponent for him to work off of, if you don't have a conflict or storyline for him to dive into, he's got nothing. He's got nothing. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the talent. John Cena sucks on the mic. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Let's stop pretending. John Cena sucks on the mic. He proved that tonight. Then I wrote, why is WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia? That will be even worse than this. Cancel it and move it. We already saw them cancel WrestleMania in New Orleans to move it back to Vegas this year. Hopefully they cancel WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia and move it to somewhere in North America or Europe, because WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia, the Saudi Arabia shows suck. Their presentation sucks because they have to water down the presentation of the show for the local laws, which is really bad for those watching on TV because we're not getting the spectacle because they have to dial it down. This show tonight was already cheap as hell, and then they're going to go next year to Saudi Arabia in a place where they have to water the product down and water the presentation down as it is, and then be cheap there too. It's going to be even worse than this. I really, really hope the WWE cancels Saudi WrestleMania and moves it to somewhere in North America or Europe. I don't care about the corporation getting Saudi Arabia money. I care about my experience as a fan, and it being in Saudi Arabia will be even worse than it was tonight. So let's hope they cancel it and move it back. I wrote, Orton and Cody is the only match to get a hype video. Almost all matches should get one. That's true. It was the only match to get a hype video. And of the other WrestleMania matches tonight, AJ and Becky should have got one. Gunther and Seth should have got one. And Liv and Steph should have got one. It was a world title match. None of them got it. Orton and Cody was the only match to get a hype video. But this is WrestleMania. All of them should get one. Or almost all of them should get one. Then I wrote, Michael Cole and Wade Barrett are terrible. They are. Then I wrote, Orton's entrance sucked. The snake was not 3D. It was just a flat 2D snake on the Titantron. It did not go 3D out into the arena. Whether in the arena itself, it wasn't 3D, and on TV, they didn't do a 3D graphic either. So the snake wasn't 3D. And Orton didn't even walk out of the mouth. So the snake ended on the Titantron in the middle with its mouth wide open. And Orton didn't even walk out from the center of the mouth. He walked out from the corner beside the mouth and then stood in front of the mouth. Like they couldn't even figure out a way for Orton to walk out the middle of the mouth like he was coming out of the mouth of the Viper. So they cheaped out by doing a TD or a 2D Titantron snake and not even making it 3D in the arena or 3D with a television graphic. So they were cheap there, and then they couldn't even figure out a camera shot of Orton walking out the center of the mouth. I wrote, Triple H can't even direct good shots. He can't. The whole thing sucked. Then I wrote, the crowd is singing Orton's theme, so the crowd noise got muted, which the WWE did. You can hear in the presentation the crowd noise is getting turned down because you can hear it in the entrance music as well, because they got the volume on that went down as well because the crowd was singing Orton's theme and he's supposed to be the heel. They don't like that. They don't want heels getting cheered over baby faces, especially over, their poster boy. They're John Cena of today, as they keep liking to call him on TV, because Michael Cole and Wade Barrett suck at freaking commentary. But they don't like having their heels being cheered over their golden boys. So they started muting the crowd, and they started lowering the crowd noise because they were singing Orton's theme. Then I wrote, why take out the energy? Because that's what it does. It's taking out the energy of the match. For the first time in the night, the crowd really got into it by singing Orton's theme, and the people in charge of production / creative muted the crowd noise because they didn't like that, and it took the energy out of the match. The crowd was breathing energy into the match, and the creative team took it out by muting them. I wrote, production and creative teams need to go. They do. Then I wrote, Orton's entrance is taking longer than an Undertaker entrance, which it did. Orton walked to that ring even slower than the Undertaker did in his days. And Undertaker took his sweet ass time getting to the ring at WrestleMania, believe me. Then I wrote, Cody Rhodes got an evolution of Cody entrance. So they did this like evolution theme of Cody Rhodes for his entrance, where they showed, Cody Rhodes' attire from the beginning of his career, and then, video packages of, him at the beginning of his career. Then they showed like dashing Cody Rhodes and the clear mask Cody Rhodes, and then they showed the Stardust stuff. It was the evolution of Cody Rhodes. That was the theme of his entrance, from the beginning to dashing to Stardust to the American Nightmare. But then I wrote, the evolution of Cody entrance ? This theme should have been Orton's entrance, because Randy Orton was the diamond in the rough of Evolution. He was the diamond in Evolution. He's the last remaining active wrestling member of Evolution. That should have been the theme of his entrance. The Randy Orton's entrance, instead of that 2D cheap Viper, should have been the evolution of Randy Orton. Cody already has a special entrance with him coming out of his ascension through the ramp that he always does at WrestleMania. Randy Orton should have had the evolution of Orton as his theme, or they should have done it for both of the guys. Like they should have had, they could have shared a theme, because like they share history as it is anyways. And you could have even tied into like it goes from evolution to legacy. Like why this company, man, the creative team sucks so badly, because like that theme for an entrance, it either should have gone to Orton or it should have gone to both of them, and you could have had the evolution of Randy Orton to Cody Rhodes because of their shared legacy and their shared history together. Like, come on, guys, what are we doing? It's all right there in front of you and you miss it because you're morons. Then I wrote, no Ted DiBiase Jr. mentioned in the promo video. He wasn't mentioned in the promo video, nor in Cody's entrance. ... Why? ? Ted DiBiase Jr. is no longer in legal trouble. He was found innocent. He was found non-guilty. So why wasn't he shown in the video package? He shares history with these guys. He's the missing link between them. Everyone wanted to see him involved in the match instead of Pat McAfee. So why wasn't he shown in the video promo package, and why wasn't he part of Cody Rhodes' entrance when the theme of Cody's entrance was the evolution of Cody Rhodes? Why was Legacy not part of that? Michael Cole did mention Ted DiBiase Jr. during the match on commentary, but why was he not mentioned in the promo vid or in Cody's entrance? That's just stupid. It's stupid to mention him in commentary but not have him involved in those things, and to not have him be in the arena and be in the place of Pat McAfee. Then I put, stop with the match introduction of Alicia Taylor after entrances. It takes the personal conflict and the stakes out of it. This is not a sport. It is a conflict, a drama. This is not a big boxing match where they get to the ring and then the ring announcer introduces them both in the ring and then holds up the belts. This is not a sport. This is the conclusion of a feud. It is the conclusion of conflict between two characters. So when they do this, they think it's them going like, this is a big match, big fight feel, everybody. This is a big fight feel. No, what you're doing is you're taking the stakes out of the match. You're breaking the fourth wall. That's what you're doing. And by doing that, you're taking the stakes out of the match. So stop. In a feud like this, where it's all conflict driven, for your title, in what you're calling a main event, it's not a main event, but what you're calling a main event, for two guys with all these history, to have Alicia Taylor stand in there and stop to introduce the match now that they're both in the ring, that takes the conflict out of it. And I don't care that Pat McAfee interrupted her to add a little bit of character to it. It doesn't matter. You took the stakes out of the match by doing that. This is bad directing. It's bad booking. This creative team has no idea what they're doing. They need to go. Then I wrote pre-match, as in I wrote this note before the match was started. I hit pause on Netflix and I wrote this because this is what I wrote for the match before I watched it. A double turn is the only thing that will work here. A double turn of the heel becoming face and face becoming heel, as in Randy Orton, who's the heel of this match, needs to turn face, and Cody Rhodes, who's the face of this match, needs to turn heel. Before the match started, I wrote this. The only thing that will work here is a double turn. That's what needs to happen in this match for this match to work and for this night to feel eventful. Cody Rhodes needs to be heel by the end of this match, and Randy Orton needs to be face by the end of this match. So, is that what happened? Well, let's see. The third before the bell attack of the night, because before the bell rang, Pat McAfee attacked Cody Rhodes. This is the third time we've seen this. We saw this with Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre, and we saw this with Gunther and Seth Rollins. So 3 times in the night, we saw a before the bell rings attack. Great booking here, guys. Great booking. I do gotta say that they took out Pat McAfee at the beginning of the match instead of having him be there throughout the entirety of the match. Like, the spot of Jelly Roll taking out Pat McAfee probably in normal scenarios would be saved for like towards the end of the match, like to be a moment towards the end of the match. Like that's that's like a big moment in a story of a match, right? And usually that's saved in like for the third act of a match. But they did it at the beginning of the match because of the fan reaction to the storyline, and nobody really wants Pat McAfee there. So they kind of smartly are like, okay, we're gonna have you go out, but you're gonna be taken out right away, so the match can focus on Cody and Orton, and it'll just make the fans pop, and it'll make everyone happy that you're gone, you're here, we've tied it into the storyline, but we'll take you out early. It'll make them happy, and then it'll let the wrestlers, tell their story on their own, which is what the fans want to see. So I thought that was smart, and then them bringing Pat back out the way they did was kind of pointless to me because they didn't take advantage of him coming back out. But I did think it was smart to take Pat McAfee out at the beginning of the match. I'll give them a bit of credit for that. I didn't really write a lot of notes during the match, but I'll say this. The match wasn't spectacular. It was just okay. And that was, the same thing for Seth Rollins and Gunther. It was an okay match, but not a spectacular match. What I did write is third announce table spot of the night, because Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton used the announce table just like, 2 matches prior in the night. used the announce table. Gunther and Seth Rollins used it, and I Show Speed and Logan Paul used it. Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes also used the announce table. So I wrote third announce table spot of the night. Ugh. Then I wrote Cody wins. What were they even going for? Question mark. So Pat McAfee comes out towards the end of the match with the referee shirt on, and he's about to count Orton to the win, but Cody kicks out. This is just a standard count. 1, 2, Cody kicks out. Then Orton blames Pat McAfee and RKO's him. Did Orton think Pat counted slow? Is that what they were going for? Because that's not what happened. Pat just counted normal. So why is Randy Orton blaming Pat McAfee for not counting the 3? Cody kicked out. You have to be why not blame Cody? Why don't you RKO Cody and cover him again? Why are you blaming Pat? He didn't count slow. So what's the problem? So that didn't even really make sense. And then I just wrote, what were they going for in this match? Embarrassing Pat is not a story, because they embarrassed him at the beginning of the match, and then they embarrassed him by having Orton RKO him after he counted. Embarrassing Pat is not a story. So Cody wins, and through the match they hinted at a double turn. Cody eye-raked Orton, he low-blowed Orton. Orton was leaning into the cheers from the crowd, so they were hinting that a double turn was happening, but they didn't execute it. They did nothing in the match to complete it. They hinted at it, but they didn't complete it. They didn't execute the double turn. They hinted a double turn, but they didn't execute it. And then the night ends with Cody winning, but then Orton standing tall by attacking him after the match and punting him after the match and holding the belt. So what are we getting? Cody versus Randy at Backlash? Guys, this is WrestleMania. This is supposed to be the end of the feud. This felt like build-up. This felt like build-up to a second match. This should have been in a match at Elimination Chamber. They should have had this match at Elimination Chamber. The match exactly as it was, that should have been the Elimination Chamber match, and then they had a rematch at WrestleMania to end the feud. This was not the WrestleMania match. They're mistaking. This is a Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber match, and then they have the rematch at WrestleMania to end the feud. WrestleMania is the end of the feud. It's not more build-up. And what were they going for? What was the point of Cody winning for Randy to stand tall? If Randy's going to stand tall to end the show, why can't he just win the match? Why can't he just win the title? Or if Cody is going to win, why couldn't they do the double turn? Why couldn't Cody turn heel and Randy turn face? What my idea was, and what I thought was going to happen, is Pat comes back out, right, with the ref shirt. My thought is okay, they have a chance to do the double turn here. What should have happened is Pat counts 1, he counts 2, and he stops the count. Cody doesn't kick out, but he stops the count because it's going to be 3. But Randy sees he stopped the count. That SOB. And Randy gets up, and Pat McAfee stares at him. Cody gets up behind him. Pat McAfee low blows Randy Orton. Cody Rhodes. Cody does what's Cody Rhodes' finisher called? Not the Cody Cutter. Crossroads. Cody does the crossroads to Randy Orton. Then Pat and Cody look at each other. They smile. They hug. And then Cody picks Randy Orton up again. Or instead of picking him up again, Randy starts slowly getting up. And Cody does the punt to Randy. And then Pat counts 1, 2, 3. Raises Cody's arm up. Cody celebrates the title. You have the double turn. Cody is heel. Randy is face. Pat is with Cody. Cody retains the title. Then the night feels eventful. You have something that people can talk about going forward. And if you continue the feud, it has new light to it. What new light is to the feud now that wasn't there before tonight? Nothing. Cody didn't turn heel. Randy didn't turn face. Pat McAfee's booted out of the storyline. Is that the new light that they're carrying forward? Who cares? If Cody was going to win this match, which he did, they needed to do the double turn, and they didn't do it. And again, if you're going to have Randy Orton end the night standing tall, why couldn't he just win the match and win the title? I don't understand it. This show was terrible. It was a terrible show. It was a terrible night of WrestleMania. And night two has a lot of slack to pick up for this WrestleMania to be salvaged. Because if night two was similar quality to this one, this is going to go down as one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. That's just the truth. That's just the reality. And I've been ranting for over an hour. I'm going to go take a sip of water and I'm going to upload this video when it's done processing. That's it for me. I'll probably do another video tomorrow for WrestleMania Night 2. Hopefully it's better than this one was, because this was pretty bad.